I wasn't sure what Washington's quarterback plan was going to be outside of Sam Howell. I think that they had said, through back channels that they were trying to bring in some sort of veteran presence to push Sam Howell. And this is arguably the best veteran presence on a stopgap option that they could have had among all the guys. And the way they played last year, I think Jacoby Brissett was probably the best option available in this market.
I totally agree. I'd much rather have him than Baker. I really would. This makes a lot of sense. We were wondering what Washington was doing at quarterback when Andy Dalton, spoilers, signed with the Panthers. This kind of felt like I was like, oh, okay, that's okay. You're not going there. Okay, this opens up the other spots, because I just thought with the Frank Reich background and all that, Jimmy G going to the Raiders kind of felt like, okay, what seats are open, because he's worthy of being a stopgap starter for somebody and a high-end backup for somebody. And this one makes a ton of sense as far as fit and what he could bring.
I thought that Carolina made the most sense just with his connection to Frank Reich and what they would potentially need at that position. But if you're Jacoby Brissett, I can understand not wanting to go to Carolina, where that they're going to take a guy with the number one pick. You don't want to be sitting there and have your seat warm from the moment you take over on their first day of training camp.
It's not a fun way to live.
he's battling against Sam Howell, who is not the number one pick. For as much as it was Washington has tried to pump up how much they like Sam Howell, it's a slightly different dynamic when the guy was a 5th rounder a year ago compared to CJ Stroud coming in as the number 1 overall pick.
Correct. And and more or less he can look and go, I think I'm going to start. I don't know. I think we all know this. And I think that's what he thinks too. No, I totally get that. It's a hard way to live when Andy Dalton signed was with the Bears, and they drafted Justin Fields. I get it as knowing am I number 1? You signed me to be this guy. Some guys don't want to be the mentor. And I get that. It's not every guy's Alex Smith, that's just so great with it. And so
I think that if a team did it right, I think Jacoby Brissett would be fine living that way.
Yeah.
I mean, he is, my understanding, a very affable personality, but everyone loves Jacoby Brissett.
Everybody, including me. I've met him twice. Love him.
But when you have the opportunity to really be a starter, like he seems to in Washington, where the quarterback would be a surprise rather than something you can see coming from a million miles away, I understand it. Also, Washington has some real guys to throw the football to.
Correct.
I think it's important to remember in watching Washington's offense over the last few years, what Taylor Heineke and Carson Wentz are, especially Wentz at this stage of his career, versus even the play that Jacoby Brissett showed last year in Washington. That is a step up from what Washington showed last year in Cleveland. That is a step up from what Washington has experienced at the quarterback position over their last 4 to 5 seasons. True. So I think we could see the best version of Terry McLaurin we've ever seen with Jacoby Brissett, and I'm excited to see that.
I think people have never watched Jacoby Brissett or anything. There's a classic line about a good jockey in horse racing, that a good jockey might not win you a race, but he won't lose it for you. And that's what Jacoby Brissett feels like. He's going to do everything right. And so with Eric Bieniemy and what their offense might be, I completely agree with the sentiment you just threw out there, that throwing into those weapons with Jahan Dotson as well and Scary Terry, that's interesting, because he's going to find out ways to get those guys the ball. I mean, look what Amari Cooper was doing with Jacoby. Yes, the offensive line was fantastic in Cleveland, but he's going to know how to get the guys the ball with the plays designed for those guys. He's not going to screw it up for you.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see that. Obviously, Eric Bieniemy is a question mark in terms of what he's going to be as an offensive coordinator, but the weapons are certainly in place. And they've made moves to shore up spots along the offensive line, right?
Yep.
They bring in Andrew Wiley, so not a group full of stars, but I think their hopes, a group full of 5 functional pieces that with Jacoby Brissett and those pass catchers, you can be a mid-tier offense.
Yeah.
And for them, that would be an improvement from what they've been over the last few years. I mean, they were scraping by to 22nd in DVOA a couple of years ago, with Scott Turner squeezing everything he could out of that thing, as Taylor Heineke was just stuntman playing quarterback, the way that you like to describe it. So hopefully things are a little bit calmer now with Jacoby in town than they've been over the last couple of years.
Yeah, a little different than Johnny Knoxville running around back there. This is more like, I don't know, Philip Seymour Hoffman playing quarterback for you. He's gonna get the role done and be really, really good at it. He's whatever you ask him to do, he's gonna get that function. That Philip Seymour Hoffman's probably
that's way too good, way too rich.
I'm
trying to think of somebody who's just there.
Who was the dad in not the dad, the main actor in Friday Night Lights? That guy that's in
Kyle Chandler.
Yeah, Kyle Chandler. That's what I'm going with.
Man, I think even that's like diss to Kyle Chandler. I feel like they're shooting a little bit too low with that even still. We'll find a good one.
We'll find a good one.